What if I told you that sometimes the person who saves a life is not the doctor in a white coat, not the specialist with years of training, not even the man with all the money in the world? Sometimes the one who sees the truth is the one no one ever notices, the one people walk past every single day without a second thought. This is not just a story about sickness, it is about power, about silence, and about the hidden eyes that see what others refuse to look at. Imagine a billionaire lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by the most brilliant medical minds in the country. Machines beeped, charts were filled, theories were thrown around, but the man only grew weaker by the hour. 20 doctors, endless resources, and still no answers. But somewhere in those cold hospital halls, someone else was watching. Not a doctor, not a nurse, not anyone you would expect. She was the one who pushed the cleaning cart, the one who mopped the floors while others talked over her head. To them, she was invisible. To the dying man, she became the only hope left. This is a story that will hold you until the very last moment, a story that will make you question what you thought you knew about knowledge, respect, and where true wisdom can come from. Stay with me, because what happened inside that hospital suite is something you will never forget.
They said the room had everything money could buy, but money could not buy what the man in the bed needed most. The clock clicked softly. Machines hummed. Lights stayed low. The air smelled clean and cold, and still no one could answer the one question that mattered. Why was Williams Foster slipping away? Inside, the suite looked more like a hotel than a hospital room. Williams lay still, skin a little gray, breath shallow. He looked like a man who once won every fight, and now could not lift his hands. Vivian Cooper pushed a cleaning cart to the wall and paused for one slow breath. Her badge said Environmental Services, but most people just called her the cleaner. They did not know about the books stacked by her bed or the old notes from her short time at Emory University. She wiped and straightened. Vivian had learned that when people think you are invisible, they speak freely. She noted the rhythm of the monitors, Dr. Jonathan Webb's firm tone, and Dr. Daniel Griffin's careful questions. "Liver numbers are worse," Dr. Griffin said. Dr. Webb's mouth tightened. "Expand the panel. Order another scan." A nurse named Camila wrote notes. Vivian noticed smaller things. William's nails had a pale band near the tips. His hairline looked thinner than in the photo on the wall where he shook hands with a mayor. When he opened his eyes for a moment, he seemed to search for a word that would not come. It was like watching a swimmer reach for a rope that was not there. At noon, a man in a fine suit arrived, visitor badge reading Ethan Walker. His smile was neat. His shoes were quiet. "Old friend," he said to the man in the bed, though Williams did not answer. Ethan placed a small black jar on the nightstand. "The hand cream from Switzerland, the only one he likes," he told Camila, tapping the lid. "Please use it. The air here is very dry." Camila nodded. "We will, sir." Vivian kept her eyes on her cloth. A thought rose in her mind. Yesterday, a jar like this had been in the bathroom. Now here was another. People moved things all the time. She told herself to let it go. Then Williams made a soft sound, and the thought did not go. When the room emptied, Vivian cleaned the bathroom. On the counter stood another black jar. She wiped around it. Her finger came away with a tiny shine. She rubbed thumb to finger. It felt slick, then dry, like something that did not want to be seen. In the hall, 2 residents spoke in low voices. "Autoimmune?" one asked. "Maybe. Dr. Murphy wants a full tox, but the early screen was clean." "Then what is it?" "Ask Webb," the other said. Vivian moved past without a sound. Her mind lined up the facts. Pale nails, thinning hair, trouble with words. Night shift stomach pain she had heard about at the desk. A body failing while the best care stood around it like guards. At lunch, she sat near a window and opened an old notebook. The pages were worn. The notes were from a class she left years ago. Metals that slip into the body, hide in hair, settle in nerves, move through skin. She remembered leaving school and the promise to return. Life set a different path. The facts stayed with her. Back in the suite, Dr. Webb told the team, "We are not missing effort. We are missing the key. Think beyond the usual, but keep focus." Camilla glanced at the nightstand and then at Vivian. "Can you straighten the bathroom?" she asked. "Yes," Vivian said. In the mirror, her face looked steady, but tired. She looked down at the jar. She did not touch it. The label was simple. The cream had almost no scent. Still, the small tug in her mind pulled again. That night, alarms rang at 2:17. Vivian was 2 rooms away. She stepped to the doorway. Inside, the team worked fast. A cart rolled in. Dr. Griffin spoke to Williams in a calm voice, like someone calling to a man lost in fog. After a long stretch, the numbers on the screen settled. The team left, quiet. Camilla leaned on the wall. "He cannot keep going like this," she said. Vivian wanted to speak. She wanted to lay out the list in her head, but she knew what would happen. People would smile and tell her to clean the floor. So she stayed quiet. She straightened what had been moved. In the bathroom, the jar on the counter had shifted again. Near dawn, Dr. Griffin stood by the window. The city was still dark. Vivian said, "Doctor?" He looked up. "Yes?" She used simple words. Could this come from something he touches every day? Something small? It is possible, but we have tested many things. Sometimes small things hide, she said. "Thank you." When the shift ended, she took the bus home. Tyler and Zoe were getting ready for school. "You look tired, Mom," Zoe said. "I am fine," Vivian said. "Eat your breakfast." On the table lay a thin book from her old class. She touched it with 2 fingers. She thought of the jar, the smell, the nails, the hair, the fall of a man who once moved fast. She thought of the words she would not say. Back at Good Samaritan that evening, the glass doors slid open and closed like a breath. Vivian stood there and made a choice without speaking it. If Williams fell again tonight, she would not stay quiet. She would ask a harder question. She would risk the look people give when they think you forgot your place. Inside, the suite was calm. Ethan Walker came again, smiling, careful, kind. He set a new black jar on the nightstand and tapped the lid the same way as before. The day broke with gray light sliding through the tall hospital windows. Vivian Cooper pushed her cart down the silent corridor of Good Samaritan Hospital. Her eyes burned from little sleep, but her mind was sharp, fixed on the patterns she had seen. Williams Foster lay in the luxury suite, his life held by machines, his body breaking piece by piece, while the finest doctors circled him like a puzzle they could not solve. Vivian had carried the same thought since the night before. What if the poison was not in his food, not in the air, but in something softer, quieter, something trusted? Every time she pictured the black jar of hand cream, her chest tightened. The way Ethan Walker placed it on the nightstand, too deliberate, too sure. She entered the suite to clean. Camilla, the nurse, was adjusting the drip. "His numbers dropped again last night," Camilla said flatly. "Dr. Webb won't say it, but we're running out of ideas." Vivian nodded, eyes falling to William's hands. His nails were pale and ridged. His skin looked thinner than paper. She turned toward the bathroom where another jar waited. She moved slowly, pretending to dust, her mind racing through what she remembered from her chemistry classes at Emory University. Colorless, odorless, absorbed through skin. The notes in her old book whispered back, a perfect hidden killer. By noon, the doctors gathered again. Dr. Jonathan Webb spoke with authority, his voice steady. "We are missing nothing. This is a rare immune collapse. We will test another set of markers." Dr. Daniel Griffin glanced at the chart. "But the pattern, his hair, his gums, don't they fit?" Webb cut him off. "Speculation wastes time. Stick to data." Vivian lowered her head, polishing the same spot on the counter so no one saw her face. She wanted to shout, She wanted to name what she saw, but she swallowed the words. She was a cleaner in their eyes, nothing more. That evening, she sat at her small kitchen table with Tyler and Zoe finishing homework beside her. The table was covered, not just with their school papers, but also her old notes, pages browned at the edges. Tyler looked up. "Mom, why are you staring at those old books again?" "I'm just remembering," she said softly. Zoe leaned closer. "Is it about that man you're cleaning for? The one in the big room?" Vivian pressed her lips together. "Yes, something is wrong, and no one wants to listen." "Then make them listen," Zoe said simply, the way only a child could. Vivian smiled faintly. Courage sounded so easy when spoken in a child's voice. The next night, alarms rang again. William's body shook with weakness, monitors flashing numbers in red. Vivian was outside watching doctors rush in. She saw Ethan Walker in the corner, calm as ever, his eyes cold even as he pretended concern. He touched the jar on the nightstand, like it belonged there. When the chaos settled, Dr. Webb stepped out, rubbing his forehead. Vivian gathered courage. "Doctor," she said carefully, "have you tested for metals? Some poisons hide there." He stared at her as if she had spoken out of turn. "Focus on your duties, Miss Cooper. Medicine is not your field." His words cut like a blade. Vivian lowered her gaze. "Yes, sir." But her heart did not accept his dismissal. That evening, she found Dr. Griffin near the vending machine. His face looked younger, less guarded. She spoke softly. "Dr. Griffin, I think Mr. Foster is being poisoned. The signs, they match something I once studied." His eyes widened, then darted away. "That's an interesting theory, but we already ran heavy metal screens." "Not all tests catch it," she said, voice firm despite the tremor in her hands, "especially if it is given in small doses, day after day." He shifted uneasily. "I have to go." He left quickly, leaving her with silence heavy in the hall. The next morning, a man from security found her. "Miss Cooper, we've had complaints you're interfering with medical work. This is a warning. Stay in your lane." His eyes were sharp, his voice stern. Vivian nodded, throat tight. Understood. But inside she thought, if I stay silent, Williams Foster will die. That night she slipped into the maintenance closet. She had collected a small sample of the cream in a sterile cup hidden in her pocket. With the cleaning supplies around her, she worked quickly, mixing with baking soda, foil, and simple solutions she remembered from her old classes. Her hands shook as she waited for the reaction. Then she saw it, the faint but clear sign that told her what she already knew. Thallium. Vivian gasped softly, the sound swallowed by the quiet closet. She pressed her back to the wall, tears stinging her eyes. It's true. He's being poisoned. The next day she arrived early. Williams Walker came again with his polished shoes and smooth smile, carrying another jar. "Only the best for my old friend," he said. He placed it with care, his fingers lingering on the lid. Vivian's stomach turned. She wanted to grab the jar and throw it at his face, but she stayed still, her mind working fast. She had proof now, but it was not enough. If she accused him without evidence they respected, she would be dismissed, or, worse, fired. That evening she sat in the break room staring at her uniform hanging on a hook. The dark fabric looked plain, forgettable. She whispered to herself, "They don't see me, but I see everything." She thought of Williams gasping for breath. She thought of Tyler and Zoe, who deserved a mother who stood up for what was right. She thought of Ethan Walker's smile, false and cruel. Vivian knew she had only one choice. She would step into the circle of men in white coats. She would risk her job, her income, her safety. She would tell the truth, no matter what they called her. The following afternoon, William's condition worsened again. The doctors gathered in the suite, tense, their voices low. Vivian pushed her cart inside, heart hammering, but face calm. She paused by the table where Dr. Webb laid out charts. Her voice was steady. "Mr. Foster is being poisoned with thallium. It is in the hand cream." The room went silent. Dr. Webb turned, his face hard. "Excuse me?" Vivian stepped forward and placed the small container with her test results on the table. "I tested it myself. The signs are clear. His symptoms match.
Look at his nails, his hair, his gums. This is not an illness. This is a slow poison." For a moment no one moved. The hum of the machines filled the silence. Dr. Griffin looked at her, eyes searching. Dr. Murphy leaned closer to the container. Dr. Webb's jaw tightened. Vivian's hands trembled, but her voice did not break. "You can ignore me, but if you do, he will die. Test for thallium. You will see." The air was heavy with disbelief and shock. Vivian knew she had crossed the line. Either they would throw her out, or they would finally open their eyes. And in that moment, standing in the room full of power and pride, Vivian felt more visible than she had in years.
The suite at Good Samaritan Hospital had never been so quiet. For a moment, after Vivian Cooper's words, no one spoke. Doctors stood frozen, their eyes darting between her, the black jar of hand cream, and the pale body of Williams Foster lying helpless on the bed. The hum of the monitor seemed louder, sharper, as if the machines themselves waited for an answer. Dr. Jonathan Webb's voice finally broke the silence. "This is absurd. A cleaning woman claims she has solved what 20 specialists have failed to uncover? Security! Wait!" Dr. Daniel Griffin said quickly, stepping forward. He held the small container Vivian had placed on the table. His eyes were serious, not mocking. "Her description, it fits. The nails, the hair loss, the nerve damage, and if the cream really shows positive for something—" Dr. Murphy, the toxicologist, leaned closer. "We've seen stranger cases. Thallium poisoning is rare, but it does present this way." Webb's face flushed. "This is nonsense. We ran heavy metal screens weeks ago." Vivian lifted her chin. Her hands still trembled, but her voice stayed firm. "Standard tests can miss it when the dose is small and steady. I studied this years ago. Every sign matches. Please, test again. Test the cream. Test his blood and hair." For a long moment, Webb looked ready to order her out, but Dr. Griffin had already signaled a nurse. "Draw samples now. We'll run a targeted test." The room shifted. A quiet buzz filled the air. Nurses moved. Doctors whispered. Charts shuffled. For the first time, Vivian was no longer invisible. Hours later, results came back. The report was simple, but damning. Elevated thallium levels in William's blood, traces in his hair, building over months, clear presence in the hand cream. "It's true," Dr. Murphy said softly, reading the paper twice as if he could not believe it himself. "He's been poisoned." Dr. Griffin exhaled in relief and looked at Vivian with something close to respect. "You were right." Dr. Webb's shoulders slumped. His authority cracked. For weeks, he had commanded the room. Now, he had to swallow the truth delivered by the woman he had dismissed. Vivian did not gloat. She simply looked at Williams, who was barely hanging on. "He needs Prussian blue. It's the antidote. Give it to him now." Orders flew. Nurses rushed. Within hours of treatment, William's vital signs began to stabilize. The monitors that had once screamed warnings now gave a steadier rhythm. Color returned slowly to his face. For the first time in weeks, there was hope. While the medical team worked, hospital security and FBI agents entered the suite. Agent Ramirez's voice was calm but firm. "We've reviewed the footage. Ethan Walker brought the cream every visit. He handled it when alone and even encouraged the nurses to apply it. We have enough evidence." As if on cue, Ethan returned that afternoon, another jar in hand. His smile faltered when he saw the agents waiting. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice tight. "You'll be coming with us," Agent Martinez said, flashing his badge, "for attempted murder and corporate sabotage." Ethan's face hardened. "This is ridiculous. I was helping a friend." Ramirez stepped closer. "We've tested your so-called cream. It's laced with thallium. You've been slowly killing him." Ethan's mask dropped. His eyes grew cold, his smile gone. "He had everything. I was supposed to take the merger. He stood in my way." Security cuffed him, leading him out as the doctors and nurses stood in stunned silence. Vivian stood in the corner, her heart heavy but steady. She had seen the truth from the start. No one had listened, until now. Hours later, William stirred. His eyes opened weakly, the fog lifting.
He whispered, "What happened?" Dr. Webb stood by his bed, guilt written across his face. He cleared his throat. "You were poisoned, Mr. Foster. We missed it. But she," he turned toward Vivian, "she saw what we did not. She saved your life." William's gaze shifted, landing on Vivian. His lips trembled into a faint smile. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice raw. Vivian swallowed hard, nodding once. "You're welcome." For the first time, the room broke into applause. Not polite, not forced, real. The same people who had ignored her, mocked her, brushed past her, now clapped for her. Vivian stood straighter, her uniform still plain, but her presence undeniable. In the days that followed, the story spread across the hospital. The housekeeper who solved the mystery, the woman who saved the billionaire when 20 doctors failed. Staff who once looked through her now nodded in respect. Some whispered her name in the halls, not with mockery, but with awe. At home, Tyler and Zoe listened wide-eyed as she finally told them everything. "So, you really saved him?" Tyler asked. Vivian smiled softly. "I noticed something others missed, that's all." Zoe hugged her. "That's not all, Mom. You were brave." The hospital administration called her in. Dr. Matthew Reed, the chief, shook her hand awkwardly. "Miss Cooper, your actions placed us all in an unusual position. You displayed knowledge far beyond your role. The board has decided to grant you recognition and an opportunity to finish what you started years ago." She frowned. "What do you mean?" Reed slid a folder across the desk. Inside was a scholarship, fully funded, with her name on it. The Cooper Scholarship for Scientific Excellence. At the bottom, signed by Williams Foster himself. He insisted. He wants you to return to Emory University, to finish your chemistry degree, to join the toxicology team when you graduate. He calls it an investment, not charity. Vivian's hands shook as she held the paper. A dream she thought was buried was alive again. Months passed. Williams recovered, thinner but alive. Ethan Walker faced trial. Vivian entered Emory University not as a cleaner, but as a student once more. She balanced her studies with motherhood, walking the halls with confidence. She returned to Good Samaritan in a new white coat, standing beside Dr. Griffin in the toxicology lab. Some staff still looked surprised to see her there, but most smiled with respect. At home, Tyler and Zoe studied at the same kitchen table where she had once done her quiet experiments. Now, the table was full of textbooks, reports, and new hope. 1 year later, Vivian stood at her graduation ceremony, Tyler and Zoe cheering in the audience. She felt the weight of her journey, the nights of invisibility, the pain of being dismissed, the courage of speaking when no one would listen. Williams Foster, healthy and strong, handed her the diploma. "You saved my life," he said softly. "Now you'll save many more." Vivian smiled, tears brimming. Sometimes the ones no one sees are the ones who see everything. And so the woman who once cleaned hospital floors became the very doctor others would look to for answers, not because she demanded respect, but because she had earned it, by refusing to stay silent when silence meant death.
And so, what began as the slow fading of a billionaire's life turned into a story of courage, truth, and the power of being seen. Vivian Cooper, the woman everyone overlooked, became the one who made the difference when it mattered most. She proved that wisdom does not always wear a white coat, and that even the smallest voice can hold the key to saving a life. This story reminds us that respect should not depend on titles or wealth, but on the heart, courage, and knowledge that a person carries inside. Dear viewers, if this story touched you, don't just stop here. Like this video, share it with others, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. And if you want more powerful and emotional stories like this one, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next.